I think it's fair that it has to be Spain, given what they did to England, essentially the rest of Europe in the last Euros. But I think it's a bit big from Frank to say, oh, definitely above England. Like, why definitely above England? Like, what's been the concern of England in this last, say, year or so in terms of qualifying? Like, I know that some people are like, well, you know, it's just qualifying, England always do well. Well, they haven't conceded a goal. They've got a different manager in play. There's a team that's, you know, made it to the last 2 European finals as such. And yes, they've lost in those finals, but they've had the chance to be able to win those trophies themselves. So I think the two teams are essentially quite similar, but to so confidently say, you know, France will definitely be above England. Like, what's the reason for it? Jules, tell me why, please.
Oh, go on, Jules.
I can give you a fair argument why. I think there's the Bellingham issue to start with that has to be resolved. I think Thomas Tuchel has never been at a World Cup or Euros. If you compare that with the experience that somebody like Didier Deschamps has and will have in this tournament, I think that could be a massive game changer in some sense of Deschamps having been there before, having done it obviously before, Tuchel discovering what a World Cup is, the tension, the pressure, the making those decisions. And obviously he's been a great coach at club level, but the national team, as we all know, is very different. I think if something happens to Kane, and of course we are also very reliant on Mbappe, but if something happens to Kane, there's not much in behind Kane. Whereas in terms of firepower offensively, we have so much for us really. And again, I think this French squad, even defensively, is better than this England squad.
I agree with Jules, and on top of it, you know, I'm really insisting the fact that if you don't have a good chemistry in a team of 22 at our time, 25 or 26 players nowadays, and you don't have a chemistry between the players, it doesn't work. You won't win the World Cup. That's for sure. Every team won the World Cup is because they stuck together and they worked hard. And in England, I'm sorry, it seems to be, and still, that the individuals are getting over the collective and the team, and also that clubs are more important than the national team. And in fact, there is conflicts, and there are conflicts between the players still, where it was the case in France with Marseille and Paris Saint-Germain in 90 World Cup or 94. And France, with all the stars that they had, they didn't even qualify with the Cantona, Papin, Ginola, and so. So it's what you need the most in order to do and go far, is to have the chemistry. The Bellingham example is just showing to the world that it's not there yet.
And we need to get to CONMEBOL. Argentina, the defending champions, can they go on LA and defend that title?
Well, of course they can. If this is a can they conversation, yes, they can. And it's going to be very much the same framework from what we saw in Qatar, and that is a team that plays very well for Lionel Messi and then Lionel Messi. And this becomes a question. Is Lionel Messi still, right now, at this point in his career, able to give you the moments of magic when they're necessary, when they're needed? And there are going to be moments of magic that are needed from Lionel Messi. Argentina has everything that you would want in a team. All this chemistry that Frank is talking about, Argentina has plenty of that. They have balance. They can defend. They have numbers in the midfield. They have attacking players. And then the question is, where is the magic coming from? Obviously, Lionel Messi, if he provides those moments, then why wouldn't Argentina? The question is, why wouldn't Argentina win instead of can they? Again, everything that you're looking for in these other teams, I think Argentina has. And the other thing is, and this is just an added value, we talked about who the favorites are. People are talking about Spain, and they just had a discussion about England and France. And yeah, by the way, the defending champion.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It still has a core group of players that still has Lionel Messi, that still has Lionel Scaloni, that still has know-how, that they ran away with CONMEBOL and dominated CONMEBOL. Argentina, I'm not breaking news here, they're more than dangerous. They should be among the favorites to win this whole thing.
They dominated World Cup qualifying, and sometimes I hear people talk about Messi as he's close to being in a wheelchair. He was the leading goal scorer in World Cup qualifying in South America. And this team, by the way, will be playing, this tournament will be played in North America. We just came last summer from a Club World Cup where I could not stop hearing all the Europeans complain about the weather, complain about how their teams are melting under the sun. You think that's going to affect Argentina and these players? They should be by far the favorites here.
I look at this Argentina team, and again, and to that point, you can't consider Argentina without considering the Messi impact. And while it's difficult to judge given that he's playing in MLS and his form in MLS and how that translates to playing at the World Cup. 3 years ago, he was a PSG player in a PSG team that it didn't really seem like he was enjoying his football, wasn't playing that great, yet got to that stage with Argentina and provided those moments of magic that Alejandro is talking about. Now, the thing for me is, and I think you saw it during the course of that tournament 3 years ago, Argentina had this way of putting out incredible teams on paper and 10 players just sitting back and thinking, let's just give the ball to Lionel Messi and we've got nothing else to do. And that came back to haunt them against Saudi Arabia. And then all of a sudden, I think from the second game against Mexico, like was saying, you saw those players step in, play their roles, be the players that we know they can be. And that allowed Lionel Messi to then be the difference maker. And I thought you saw Argentina change in the way that they approach the game with Lionel Messi on the park. Now, 3 years later, Lionel Messi is 3 years older, and again, it's difficult to judge exactly where he is in relation to where he was 3 years ago to everybody else in this tournament. But still, Lionel Messi is Lionel Messi. And as long as those other players live up to their expectation, their talents, there's little doubt in my mind that Lionel Messi still has more than enough magic in him for Argentina to go all the way again.
Well, you know, without talking about Cristiano Ronaldo.
Oh, how dare you.
Yeah.
It will be available for the opening games for Portugal. It will turn out. He will not be suspended.
Speaking of magic.
Wait, what I mean, do that again? What was that? Oh,
Yeah.
Let's just make these two games disappear.
And I know Frank wants to talk about Portugal.
No, I
as
want to
well.
talk about Portugal because I really think that, and we talk about Argentina, France, and Spain. And
don't forget about England.
No, not yet. But we,
What Jules said to him about England.
Cyrene will go.
Natum gets upset if you
Yeah,
forget
we-
about England.
but I really think that the fourth favorite for me are Portugal and the team that they have and the individuals that they have. I mean, that's simply insane when you go in every lines. With Diaz at the back, but Mendes. When we see Vitinha and Neves with Paris Saint-Germain, Fernandes in Manchester United, and so many others who can show to the world that they're absolutely fantastic. But you have the question mark about Ronaldo. Ronaldo have shown last season, that he's still competitive and scored many goals. Yes, maybe against Luxembourg, but also he showed in a competition that he's fit and he's still doing his best, and that the coach will have no choice but putting Ronaldo. So that's very interesting to see how they're going to work. But I put them among the favorites for me because they're simply and individually absolutely fantastic. Now, how are they going to work? The chemistry that I was talking about, how it's going to work with Ronaldo, that I don't have the answer. But they can, well, not surprise, but they can confirm that they're a very good team.
Yeah, that's always going to be the big point, isn't it? The whole Ronaldo factor with them, what he's going to bring to them, how he's going to be used for this team. That's always something that comes up, Nathan, when it comes to Portugal in major tournaments with Ronaldo in it.
Yeah, absolutely is. But it's very, very tough to sort of bet against him. I know that some people say he's older, he's struggling and so on. But the fact is, him playing for Portugal is him in his best form. This is him that would do anything for that national side. You see that sense of pride that he has whenever he represents his country. And I think as it's fair to say that, well, I say this now, it's very unlikely he'll be playing at another World Cup after this one. So you can see how big this will be for him. And for him to get the opportunity to do it, yes, there could be certain parts of his game that aren't as explosive as, say, we saw 10, 15, 20 years ago. But if the ball's dropping to somebody in the box, who do you want to be taking that shot? Even to this day, it's still probably Cristiano Ronaldo. So I think as a consequence for Portugal, with the stars that everyone's mentioned so far and the style of play that they can have, if you can get the ball into that final area, like Bruno Fernandes looking forward and seeing Cristiano Ronaldo in space with a chance to score, you're going to back him 100%. So I think it's going to be very, very more motivated than we've ever seen him. So who's going to be brave enough to bet against him doing well this in the tournament in the summer?
What are your thoughts on it, Luis? And would you fear coming up against Portugal for Spain?
I was surprised on the bookies that Portugal was so far away as a favorite because, again, it's not only about Cristiano Ronaldo that I agree with Nathan. He's going to be so motivated and very important what Scaloni in Argentina, Roberto Martinez, are going to do with these two main players, how they are going to construct the team around them, how they are going to allow them to rest because, again, Let's don't forget the weather is not going to be easy, so players who are a little bit with more experience, let's call it this way, are going to suffer a little bit more. So in the end, I think the Portugal is going to be there. When you talk about a World Cup, yes, Spain by numbers and by the style of play, and then we all enjoy this romantic tiki-taka football. He's going to be one of the favorites, but it's very difficult to point just to one of them. The guy just mentioned Portugal, France, England, they are going to be. We kind of forgot a little bit about Belgium because we tried to push them because of the talent of their squad, but they kind of disappointed every single time, so we are not putting them over there anymore. Brazil is going to be right there. We don't talk much about it. We'll talk about it later on, but definitely all those teams are going to be there fighting for, and I understand why they try to put them far away one to each other, try to see them into the center. Portugal, one of them, and Cristiano. Even though that I was talking about, and we discussed a lot with Ale, that he wasn't going to be ready, that he wasn't going to be important for Portugal because it was quality enough that squad. I think it's going to be once again the key, prove it, scoring goals and being there. So yeah, Portugal is going to be another of the favorite ones.
When Nathan was talking about Cristiano Ronaldo and would you doubt Cristiano Ronaldo to lead Portugal, I could catch out of the corner of my eye over on the other kiddie table who would doubt that, and Shaka raised his hand. So Shaka, can you explain your position?
I tell you why. I don't think the Ronaldo conversation is a parallel one with Lionel Messi. I don't see it. 3 years ago, Fernando Santos was leaving Ronaldo out of his starting lineup for Portugal. Now 3 years on, I'm not sure you make the argument that he is somehow now better. He's somehow now more impactful for Portugal at that level. Now, I do not think Roberto Martinez has got it in him to leave Cristiano Ronaldo out, to do as Fernando Santos did 3 years ago. And that may prove an issue. If Ronaldo is dictating the minutes that he gets at the World Cup, and he is less impactful, 3 years less impactful than he was last time out,